Oklahoma, the Sooner State. The sooner I get to hunt there every year, the happier I am. You don't want to miss this.
McWhorter Custom Rifles presents
Ooh, right on. Welcome back, folks. This week, Blondie and I are headed to Oklahoma. Our good friend Dane Drake, Legends of the Cimarron Outfitters. It's late October. Early muzzleloader has started, and those big bucks are going to be in trouble with the 45 XMLs.
Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by McWhorter Custom Rifles, Zeiss Hunting, McMillan Fiberglass Stocks, Hornady Ammunition, Great Horizon Ranch, Rack 'em Up Roasted Feeds, and Borden Accuracy.
So Oklahoma, out of all the places we hunt, is one of my favorites. It's really a sleeper state. You always hear people talk about Texas and Illinois and Iowa, Kansas. Oklahoma is just about as good as it gets. And it is not known widely for the big bucks, and maybe that's why they're there. My good friend Dane Drake, he's a cattle rancher, he's an auctioneer, he's an outfitter, he's a guy with many hats on. He's got so much land in Oklahoma with great whitetail habitat. It's one of the best places that you can imagine for a big buck. So this area that we hunt in, it's not a real high pressure area like some of the other places are. And a lot of the deer we've killed out there, we've seen them a year or two prior to actually shooting them, and we've had enough confidence in the low pressure to let them go and to turn into real trophies, because as I've said before, you can't kill great deer if you shoot them when they're just good deer. So one of the biggest typicals I ever killed out there, when he was 4 years old, we called him Trump because he had some great potential and nobody wanted to see him gone at 4 years old. 5 years old, he turned into an absolute monster. We changed his name to Brandon, and everybody wanted to kill that deer. So shot him, 196-inch plus typical deer. That's the kind of deer you got in Oklahoma.
One of my favorite hunts out in Gate, Oklahoma was the very first year of Precision Hunting TV, and I took a whopper of a mule deer.
And again, Dane knew about this deer, and he had confidence enough in the pressure out there that this deer would survive, and Denise was the lucky hunter that got to finally kill him. Just an absolute monster. The same morning, I killed a 5 or 6 year old 160-inch deer. Oklahoma is just a great spot. We look forward to it every year. So on this trip, we get there a little early, and I've got a trailer blind that I've bought with a redneck blind on it. So we take it to one of our favorite spots. We call it the honey hole. Dane had an old stand there that's been in the family for, I don't even know, 25 or 30 years. Well, it finally was on its last leg. So we got this trailer blind, we pulled it to the top, we got it all situated there nice and level, and Denise was ready to hunt. My first couple of days while she was hunting the honey hole, I was gonna hunt on the river back behind Dane's old home place, and he had a big 8-pointer there that was probably around 160 inches, and I was going to concentrate the first couple of days right there trying to kill that buck. The day we got there, it was 89 degrees. The next day was going to be full moon, so we didn't have a whole lot of hope. The only thing that helped us out was we had a weather change, and the first day of the season, the temperature dropped down to 30 degrees. Here we go, Oklahoma muzzleloader season. It's October the 28th, opening morning, and I'm hunting with my good friend Dane Drake of Legends of the Cimarron Outfitters. Denise and I are out here, and she's hunting about 3 miles from me down the river. I'm hunting here on the Cimarron River, and there's a heck of a cold front that is moving in. It's about 32 degrees now, and the temperature's falling, and I can see up and down this river 400, 500, 600 yards. So 45 XML's ready, I'm ready, and hopefully we're gonna get on one of these big Oklahoma whitetails this morning.
This segment of Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by Borden Accuracy, makers of the most accurate custom hunting actions on the market. Manufactured in the USA to true bench rest tolerances. Borden Accuracy equals success.
So we didn't have camera folks lined up for this, so Denise decides she's gonna film herself the first day. I'm gonna film myself on the river, and she sits in the honey hole that first afternoon because you can't hunt in there in the morning.
The honey hole is like an oasis. A lot of sand hills surround it. There aren't a lot of areas of hardwoods out there, period. But this is a nice little drain right there, and it's an old home place, got a three-sided barn, and the vantage point that we have up on the hill, the deer just come pouring in out of the hills, and they even bed down in this oasis of timber, and they don't have far to go to find that food. This year I'm hunting a big 8-point. We saw this deer last year, but he had a broken off brow tine, and with all this rain, there's no telling what this deer has done. Dane had this big 8-point on camera, but he really didn't let me look at him too much because he didn't want to get my hopes up. But he's one of the biggest 8-points they've ever had on the property. I'm settled into the blind. I think I have everything where it needs to be. My muzzleloader is up on the Leophoto. I'm ready to roll. And early in the hunt, I've got does that have come in, and at one point they get real squirrely. I think it might have been a predator that spooked them all off. And they come back in, and a couple of small bucks, and that's setting the stage for what I hope is going to be a much bigger deer come in. Everybody settles down and they're just kind of milling around eating. That's the situation you want. Okay, this is about to happen. I'm trying to calm down, take my time. About 2.5 hours into that set, out comes this giant 8-point. And honestly, he caught me by surprise. I had gotten a little too relaxed. But he comes up actually closer than he was, about 200 yards, and he stops dead. Perfect broadside shot. just shot a giant 8-point in the panhandle of Oklahoma with my .45 XML. Straight down, 200 yards. Thank you, Lord, for this beautiful hunt. Well, guys, I thought I was doing a really good job. Didn't have a camera guy, and I self-filmed the whole thing. Had an awesome buck show up. Saw him last year, he was all busted up. He showed up this year, made a great shot on him. He went straight down. I was so excited. I waited for Allan. He came and helped me do the recovery footage. Had some great stuff on film. Somehow we managed to delete the footage. Sorry folks, not a professional. I sure am trying. In the end, it was another great hunt out here with our good friend Dane Drake, Legends of the Cimarron Outfitters.
Precision Hunting TV is also brought to you by McWhorter True Precision Long Range Hunting and Shooting School, Atlas Development Group, Brooks Barrels, and Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. This segment is brought to you by Atlas Development Group, makers of the finest premium rifle cartridge cases on the market. Proudly made in the USA. Our stringent manufacturing process and raw materials yield superior results.
Denise is done. She's killed a 162-inch 8-pointer. Just shows what letting them go will do. The year before, the deer grew 15, 20 inches from the year before and just turned into an absolute monster. Now I'm hunting Droopy, a deer that she passed up the year before, and he's probably grown 15 or 20 inches as well. So I'm going back to the honey hole, my favorite spot of all time. We got a brand new redneck in there, and we're just ready for Droopy to make an appearance. So my cameraman finally makes it to camp. We get in there real early on the 3rd day to the new redneck blind. We got the back windows blacked out so the deer aren't going to see us. And we're just waiting for Droopy. We're just hoping he's going to show up in the next several days. So the usual suspects start showing up. We see some does, we see some other deer. And then out of my left eye, I just catch movement straight down the line in front of the hay bales, and I look and I said, that's a pretty good buck. And I put my binos up, put my Zeiss binos up, and that's Droopy standing there an hour before dark in the broad daylight in the wide open.
Welcome back, folks. Today we're going to talk about carbon barrels and why Hell's Canyon is our favorite.
Our good friend Mike Johnson at Hell's Canyon in Idaho makes what we think is the best carbon barrel on the market. And the benefits of a carbon barrel over a steel barrel is that they are lighter with the same muzzle diameter. So you get a very rigid barrel without the weight. These barrels are double heat stress relieved. They're 416 Rockwell, one of the hardest barrels on the market. And by being double stress relieved, that's going to make the barrel last quite a bit longer than something that's not properly stress relieved.
And they're also cryogenically treated, which leads to a more consistent grain structure, which will also reduce copper fouling.
Copper fouling, absolutely. The carbon fiber material that Hell's Canyon uses is a hybrid material that provides a rigidity of a fiber orientation, but at the looks of a filament wound barrel. They also use 37% less resin by volume, which means these barrels cool much faster than some of the filament wound barrels. Last but not least, these barrels are also micro-honed to 5/100,000th straightness, and that yields tremendous accuracy and land consistency throughout the whole length of the barrel.
Not to mention he's got 2 wraps. He's got a classic look and his new look here now, and we can do them in any
gives a little
you
variety.
Want.
Yeah, because nobody likes the same thing. That's why we do so many different paint jobs and color schemes and barrels. Right. So If you want to lighten your rig up a little bit and not sacrifice any accuracy, carbon barrel might be the way to go. And that's your True Precision Tip of the Week, brought to you by Kyle and Allan and McWhorter Custom Rifles.
Precision Hunting TV is also brought to you by Leo Photo USA, Trigger Tech, Hawkins Precision, Armageddon Gear, Mesquite Creek Taxidermy, Hell's Canyon Barrels, Gun Foam, Boyd Harness Company, and Metal Spinning Targets. This segment is brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, real Texas barbecue.
That's a good buck right there. That's our buck. That's droopy. I mean, I'm elated. I can't believe this. I'm just wanting to get my 45 XML out the window and get on this deer's shoulder. All right, since he turned sideways, you ready? He walks down and gets towards the feed pile, and when he gives me that broadside shot, I just drive that 325 grain Pittman bullet home. Folks, when you say he was a leaker, that bullet did so much devastation to him that a blind man could have found his way to this deer 80 yards. I have never seen a deer bleed like this in my life. What pure devastation that this bullet did to this deer. He's down right there. Give me 5. God dog. Woo! I see him kicking right behind that tree row. Woo! The moon does not play. When the moon is right there like it is, if you're not seeing deer, you're in the wrong spot. Here we go. Let's go see exactly how big the droopster is this year. He looks pretty big. Jeez. Lung City. Whew. Wow, look at the blood trail. Still more, still more. Look at the blood trail. Good gosh. Look at that buck. That's the droopster. Wow. Wow. What a buck. That deer's 21 inside, big brows, big long sweeping beans, a lot of mass. Look at the mass. That's what he did on a wet year this year. This deer was, he's 5.5 years old, best I can tell. And we saw him last year. And he got a lot bigger. He got a lot bigger. He's called droopy because last year's beams kind of turned down. They don't really turn down. This one does a little bit on that end, but gosh, are they long. He's got huge, huge long beams, good tine length, and extraordinary mass. Look at the brow tines. Killed an 8-point right here last year that has big brow tines. He's just got that gene running in his herd. It's just remarkable. That's what's responsible for this, the 45 XML. And it is really the baddest muzzleloader on the planet. So this one is built with a board in action and a Brux interrupted fluted barrel. It's got our Peak 2.0 stock on there, custom painted. And it's got a Trigger Tech trigger. It's got Hawkins mounts and a Hawkins muzzle brake. It's got a Zeiss 3 to 18 by 50 on it, and Trigger Tech triggers a diamond set at a pound. And when I touched it off, I could hear the thump and knew he was hit hard. We watched the footage, he's just bleeding. I mean, I don't think he's got any more blood left in his body. That's the most awesome blood trail. What a great buck. What a great, wide, heavy buck. And just this never gets old, Lord. Just thank you, Lord Jesus, for letting me hunt these magnificent animals. It never gets old. I've killed a lot of them in my lifetime. And I'm just blessed with the opportunity to hunt deer like this. And Dane Drake, Legends of the Cimarron Outfitters. Dane's a really good friend, and I've been looking forward to this hunt more than pretty much anything we do the whole year. So what a great deer. What a great deer. A little bit of management, a little bit of patience. Both these deer got past the year before, and we were able to kill both of them this year. We love Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a sleeper state if I've ever seen one, and I can't wait to get back this year.